Yo, what's up, guys? George Floyd Fueled Reflections Part 1, which will focus on George Floyd Square, my experience there. And the video, my little video walkthrough is below, but I'm just going to share some what I think are actually quick thoughts about what just the vibe I got from there. So before I grabbed, I have some more, but I grabbed two zines. I grabbed a handful of zines, but I read two today. One is titled The George Floyd Rebellion, A Gift to Humanity. The second is titled The Siege of the Third Precinct in Minneapolis. And I have links below in the video where you can, if you want to read what I read, you can do that. But before I get to those, that walk, like you can see the video, but here now in my mind, the walking through, first off, all four where George Floyd was killed in front of Cup Foods, I believe, where he was killed is almost directly on an intersection, right? The 4 blocks, surrounding that intersection are barricaded so no cars can enter. And what's funny is when I initially got there, I was like, oh, it's interesting that the police put up barricades to, block off traffic. But I really quickly realized that, oh no, it was not the police that put these up. People put these up. So people blocked off this section, this area, to create George Floyd Square. And maybe the first thing you notice is this statue right in the middle of the intersection, which is it's the Black Power fist with with a Black Liberation flag sitting on the top of it, the red, black, and green flag. And surrounding it, there's like some flowers and things. So that was like, wow, this is a big thing. I immediately was drawn to, there was the George Floyd Memorial area where he was actually murdered, and it's got flowers and everything there. But I was immediately drawn to this gas station across the street, which was totally, boarded up. No cars come through. The gas station is shut down. But there was a gathering there, something to do with prison reform, prison abolishment. It looked like there was a panel of people talking, people were watching. What sticks out is there was a piano, like where the gas pumps were. I just remember that. It's just a piano there. Like, how did a piano get there? And so there was this little thing going on. That was interesting. And while I was over there looking at that, a police helicopter, I'm assuming, I don't know why a news helicopter would have been flying over at that time. There was no news. But this helicopter flies over and everybody's like flipping it off and saying, fuck the police and, whatever. So then, so that was that area. And then there was a table like right on kind of behind the gas station where you would drive in, that had a bunch of zines there. So those were all sitting on a table. Okay. And then on kind of right where you would drive into the gas station, there was a little library there, which I didn't really stick my head into or anything. I was just kind of like, man, it's crazy. There's a little library here. And then across the street, there's a community garden of some kind. There's a big portrait of George Floyd in black and white. And then there's the memorial there right in front of Cup Foods. And then it was interesting because while I don't know how many of the businesses in that area have been closed, but Cup Foods was open. So there were people just going in and out, buying stuff right in front of where the memorial was. And the thing that stuck out to me while I was there, I was like, this is crazy. I'm like, this is crazy because I visited it in March, and today is the anniversary of George Floyd. But in March, I was like, man, this has been set up like this for almost a year. This is wild. And what was in my mind is just like, nobody pulled permits from the city and said, hey, can we do this? I'm certain the city, well, I know for sure now, like looking at the news, but the city doesn't want that area closed off the way it is. But the people have just decided that they're claiming that, and that's what they've done. And I didn't know the term for that, but there's a term that I got from this book. It's called autonomous zones, and it's like a thing that people do and set up where, a group of people just decide to take some land, and they're like, yeah, this is ours. And we're going to govern this. Cops and government stay out. So that's basically what George Floyd Square is. It's an autonomous zone that has persisted since 1 year ago, all the way to now. As a side, someone left a comment on my original video of the walkthrough about this, and I read a little bit about it, but there's this interesting kind of like during the day, it's, this kind of memorial. People are coming from, all over the world. I came from Taiwan. Oh, yeah, I ended up making, we'll come back to that. People are coming from all over the world to visit. It's this memorial, kind of sacred space, whatever. The nighttime comes, and there's violence that has been happening over there. I read about a pregnant woman that got killed, like right in the area. One of the volunteers or employees with one of the organizations working to make that autonomous zone, he was killed somehow. There's like during the daytime it's this, but then at night it's this other thing. And then I think there's a little, it's kind of like, they don't want cops there, right? So it's a little, it's messy. But what's interesting about that, what I'll say about that, you'll get one group of people that are like, look, you need cops. See, cops need to go in there, and police, and you're doing it wrong. And then the flip side of that is, while it all looks bad, the community is figuring it out. Like figuring out how to self-govern that area. And, we'll see what happens. Are the cops and the government that come through and just open it all up? Are the people going to keep it closed and turn it into something else, self-governing? Will there be a collaboration between police and the people where it stays this zone, and I don't know. We'll have to wait and see. That spot is really ground zero for activism that is like vibrated all the way out to Taiwan. Now I'll bust out the shirt. This shirt is a direct result of the George Floyd rebellion, in that I had a Facebook page, I still do, for Black Lives Matter Taiwan. That's a different story. And I had it before all this happened. And when it happened, I was able to activate it, do some digital organizing, which snowballed into this event with 400 people. It ended up being this dope, big screen, lights, music, 400 plus people event that came together because of the George Floyd revolution. So that George Floyd Square is the epicenter of that events around the world, and what's still going on with the occupation, or the autonomous zone as it's been described in Minneapolis. So yeah, I'll leave the video here, because hopefully this video is edited and stuff has been popping up over here. Wrapping it up, I'm also going to include a link below to what I thought was going to happen is I was going to write my thoughts and then kind of shoot a video based on those. But like a lot of thoughts, like a lot of stuff came out in this reflection process. And like I don't know how many parts I'm going to do this. I might end up just taking up, there's a Google Doc below if you want to like look at it. If you're looking at it on May 25th, you know, like you'll see the incomplete version. If you're looking at it later, it'll be done. But what, you know, I'll talk about what's in there just a little bit. But what triggered in me was just kind of like thinking about all of the incidents, you know, that the ones that just like there's so many, but the ones that like just pop to mind that are connected to. See, I think this is what gets missed a lot of the times with the discussion about police brutality, excessive use of force, the murdering of people of color, is that like people, you know, who aren't people from the outside who maybe don't care that much about what's going on, and I don't even mean this in like a real negative way, right? Like, you know, people who, you know, people who are like, hey, blue lives matter or all lives matter, or they're just like, oh man, I just see rioting and stuff, that's not good, whatever it is, and in their mind they're like connecting it just to these police killings. But the what you have to understand is the police killings is just like the tip of the iceberg of like all of these other it's just like it's the one that gets the most visceral reaction from people, like, you know, just seeing, you know, like, you know, trigger alert, like, because it might just, it'll put it in your mind me saying it, but like, you know, watching that cop just with his knee on his neck for, you know, whatever it was, 9 minutes, you know, creates a visceral response that goes viral, that creates a rebellion, that sets a police station on fire. But it's not just about that one incident, or any of these incidents are all like in the shirt that got made. The guy who did an awesome job, but he put a list of names on it. Like, those suck, and those are important, but there's just all this other it's just the tip of the iceberg of all this other stuff. And I just started like spitting out the different stuff, you know, related to race stuff, just stuff I've experienced, bigger stuff, whatever. And what I might do is, like, each one of those stories, maybe I'll just make a separate video on. I don't know how it'll unfold, but if you want to read that, that's below. Yeah, that's it. It was really important for me to get this video out today. I like doing things timely. As always, if you have any, like, I really appreciate, let me tell you guys, like, straight up, like, I really appreciate when people share their point of view in the comments on this video or any video. Like even if it's trolling or whatever it is, like, I appreciate people sharing, you know, whatever is on their mind and wherever it's coming from, right? Like, and just having a dialogue with different ideas. I thought this was a good quote for people who might look at rioters and looting and just kind of look down on the people doing that. And there's a lot of people doing that for a lot of reasons. But I think this is applicable whether you're just down there to take stuff. But it's cool, the way they laid it out is like, when people were taking stuff, they're like, it wasn't just like, oh, this is mine. Like, oh yeah, I got some beer. Who wants some beer? Like, some Ronas with the boys. If you know, you know. But here, those who do not identify as owners of the world that oppresses them are more likely to fight and steal from it when the opportunity arises. Yeah, I think that's worth saying twice. Those who do not identify as owners of the world that oppresses them are more likely to fight and steal from it, from that oppressive world, when the opportunity arises. Let's shut it down. Hopefully, I'm sure this is like 20 minutes, but hopefully I cut it down to like 10. So we'll see. Anyhow, love you guys. I don't know when part 1 or part 2 or part 3 or part 4 or part 5 or part 6 is going to come out. No rush from me. I'll slowly continue to build on what I've written already. And yeah, hope you had a lovely day. Love you guys. Deuces.